ready for that. I'm going to mute my phone. And once the music stops, we'll get started. We got a lot to go over tonight. So let's get to it. All right. Here goes. All right. Apparently the music has stopped. Hey guys, if you are just now checking in, we are going to start the show here in just a minute. Rowdy is running a little bit late, so he will be here after he eats. The dude's been working like 14 hours today, I think. So it will be just me to start the show, but we'll add Rowdy here in just a bit. So get ready for that. You might hear me be interrupted when he shows up. So I'm about to start recording. I'm going to do the intro with him a little bit later, but I'll do it with you right now since you're here. So I'm going to read the intro cold without Rowdy involved in it. And then just so you know, if you've never been here before, this is our recording of the podcast that releases on Monday. So it's going to be a little rough. It's going to have some edges that will be slightly tuned down a bit. So get ready for that. All right, here goes. Hello, Lamer Gamers. This is Simply Travis and Rowdy 5000 for the Lamer Gamers podcast. In today's episode, we're going to round up the week's latest gaming news, including Nintendo's latest fighting game featuring the little cute pink puffball that has the ability to consume entire planets. Animal Crossing gets spooky. PlayStation announces the PS Plus collection to punch back at Game Pass. The Xbox Series launch was a total disaster. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Followed by a nerd alert on the expensive Xbox Series NVMe card. And in a shocking move, Bethesda takes an arrow to the knee as they accept a proposal from Microsoft. All this and more coming up at the Game News Roundup. Then we'll announce the Lamer of the Week award, along with some that didn't quite get the coveted golden Lamer trophy. It might not be who you expect. Next, after that, we'll end the show with the most intense, action-packed, death-defying, no-holds-barred, bare-knuckled brawl that is bonus points, where we asked a bunch of lamers this week which console has the best exclusives. It's going to get wild. It's going to be an intense match that you've never seen before. All that and more coming up on the Lamer Gamers podcast. Now let's get started. So we'll redo that intro here in just a bit with Rowdy actually involved, but I'm going to start recording the news, and I expect him to jump into the fray. We'll kind of tag team, like Rowdy's like Doink from the old WWF days before they added that silly E, right? All right. Going to start my recording, and let's go. Oh, I got to clap. Rowdy looks for the clap. Okay. Before we get started, pressing the button on the news. If you like what we're doing, don't forget to press up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, then start. Oh, and like and subscribe on your current podcasting provider. Also, check out @LamerGamersCast on Twitter and throw a review down on Apple Podcast or Podchasers. So if you've never heard this segment, this is the Gaming News Roundup, where we're going to start a clock for 45 minutes and try to beat it to get you all the news that is fit for your lame ears this week. So know a lot of y'all need to kind of get it done. You don't have a lot of time for this each week, so we're speeding it up for you. First up, Nintendo news. It's Kirby versus Kirby versus Kirby versus another Kirby. Kirby Fighters 2 was announced. You choose from a cast of Kirby's most iconic copy abilities, including the brand new Wrestler ability, and duke it out to be the last Kirby standing. Familiar friends and foes like Bandana, Waddle Dee, and King Dedede also make an appearance as playable characters in the Kirby Fighters 2 game. Oh, so you can play other characters. That's pretty cool. Didn't know that. Available exclusively on the Nintendo Switch. What did we expect this to be on? Now, up to 4 players can play in couch co-op, or you can share the game locally. So if you only have one copy, all of your socially distanced and masked friends sitting in a ventilated room with an air purifier using a UVC light can play together. Or that's how we're supposed to play video games today, right? Or you can play online with friends, which makes it a lot easier, or random people that are likely way better than you. And if they aren't, they'll probably rage quit. So I thought this game was free, but it's actually $20. So I might get it. Look, guys, to me, Kirby's the best Smash Brothers fighter. If you don't agree with me, just let me know in the chat because I'm sure it's gonna be like, but is better. No, Kirby's the man. I might check it out. We'll see. That might be something I could talk about game impressions next week because this week, not so much. All right, next up in the news, Animal Crossing update on September 30th looks spooky. So this is what Nintendo has to say about the latest fall update. On September 30th, a free update is coming to the Animal Crossing New Horizons game for the Nintendo Switch system that adds some spooky touches to the season with Halloween costumes, character customization options, DIY projects, and festivities. Growing pumpkins are also in this, so you can deck out your home and island for all your awesome autumnal occasions by first purchasing a pumpkin, which starts kind of like an in game from by first purchasing pumpkin starts in game. Okay, so I guess they're little things you plant from Leaf, who you can grow year round, or from Nook's Cranny during October. Once your pumpkins are grown, they can be harvested and put to use in pumpkin-based DIY projects. Fancy. All right, next up, they say that's just the beginning of the Halloween themed festivities coming to your island. With the big day just around the corner, you can start stocking up on candy early. Find your style for Halloween night by purchasing costumes like a mage's dress at the Able Sister shop during the month of October. You can even procure body paint and colored eye contacts by exchanging Nook Miles, which you probably won't be able to see. I never really understood that. Okay, on Halloween night, your neighbors will be getting in the holiday spirit with costumes of their own. Uh, the Halloween night arrives on October 31st after 5 p.m. Neighbors will gather in the plaza, which will be adorned with an array of Halloween decorations. You'll also receive a visit from a mysterious guest, Jack, the Czar of Halloween. By giving Jack lollipops and candy, you'll earn spooky in-game rewards. Be sure to save some candy for your neighbors too, or you might get pranked. Ooh, that's a fun addition to the game I didn't know about. So there'll also be some new reactions to properly express your feelings of fear. You'll be able to revisit dreams in this update, so you can take a nap and visit other islands within dreams that was introduced this summer. So if you went and you're like, oh man, I like that town that I went to the other day, I wanted to get some feng shui pointers from whatever, you can go do that. Okay. Also, the Nook Link will have an app update. It will have the Nook Link service, and the Nintendo Switch Online smartphone app will have an update where you can use the smart device to perform reactions in game. So, okay, so that's kind of cool. So, if you're playing the game, you can break out your phone and doot, and stuff will happen on the game live, is what it sounds like. Okay, so that is the news that is coming from Animal Crossing. Next up, Hades by Supergiant Games. It was a indie game that was released last week. Well, apparently people liked it. It was the #1 spot in the eShop on release. So heck yeah, or I guess hell yeah, whatever you want to say. Next up is Mario. This is rumors. So we did the news. Apparently my dogs are howling. They're in the Halloween spirit today. I guess. By the way, if you'd never listened to the show before, I live in the middle of nowhere in the swamps. And apparently my dogs are serenading us in today's podcast to let us know how much they enjoyed the spooky update. Apparently. So I don't know if y'all can hear that. Whatever. Let's move on. So there is a rumor that Mario 3D All Stars, well, it's been dissected by somebody named at Oatmeal Dome on Twitter. And they believe, based on factual information and the programming, that the emulator was built to run games that might hint at further GameCube and Wii games from the past that could be emulated in the present on the Switch. Now, the things that they're pointing out specifically is the bounding box was it's a tag that accesses something in the emulator. Bounding box was mainly used by Paper Mario games, and Z Freeze was used in Mario Strikers and EA Sports games. Now, he's not saying that these games are coming to the Switch, but there is the possibility. So whatever code or whatever system they created to make the emulator that does Mario 3D All Stars is apparently way more involved than just those games. They could possibly be using it for other games in the future. I mean, we all know Nintendo. Nintendo likes their money. So I would not be surprised. They also like selling the same game every year. All right, next up in Nintendo rumors, Mass Effect Trilogy Remastered might be coming to the Switch, according to @JawMuncher on Twitter. This Twitter user captured a screenshot from a Czech Republic website called Herny-Svet that sells games in, I don't know what type of monies those are, honestly. Uh, and I actually almost wrote down that it was Czechoslovakia because I'm that old and remember when that was around. But so that is going to be interesting. We'll see if Mass Effect Trilogy is actually going to be coming to the Switch. All right, so normally I hop over to the Sony news. I like saving that for Rowdy because he is our resident Sony bro or Sony pony, whatever you want to call him. I normally focus a little more on the Xbox news, so I'm going to hop over to that and then let him finish up the Sony news if he gets here on time. We'll see. If he's listening in right now, hey Rowdy, speed up. You got to do that. Okay, let's jump over to the Xbox news. And they seem to be jumping in line ahead of everybody lately, so might as well. First up, the big, bad, scary news. Microsoft acquired ZeniMax and Bethesda. See, what happened was Bethesda caught an arrow to the knee and gave in to the pleas of Microsoft. So now they're together, and we'll see what happens out. Technically, they're not going to be together until January or till next year, whenever the deal goes through officially. But we'll see what happens. So let's see what Bethesda actually has to say. Bethesda's games have always had a special place on Xbox and in the hearts of millions of gamers around the world. Our teams have a close and storied history working together, from the amazing first Doom and its ID Tech engine, innovating games on PCs, to Bethesda bringing their first console game to the original Xbox, the groundbreaking Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Over the years, I've had many deep conversations with the creative leaders at Bethesda. So I'm guessing this is the Todd, right? This is the Todd Howard, not to be confused with the Todd from Scrubs, which is an amazing show and everybody should watch. But over the years, I've had many deep conversations with creative leaders at Bethesda on the future of gaming, and we've long shared similar visions for the opportunities for creators and their games to reach more players in more ways. Just as they took the bold first steps to bring the Elder Scrolls franchise to the original Xbox, Bethesda were early supporters of Xbox Game Pass, bringing their maybe this is a Microsoft dude talking about it. Anyway, bringing their games to new audiences across devices and have been actively investing in new gaming technology like cloud streaming of games. We will be adding Bethesda's iconic franchises to Xbox Game Pass for console and PC. One of the things that has me most excited is seeing that the roadmap with Bethesda's future games, which we kind of know what they're going to be putting out, right? Because they don't release these games for like 6 or 7 years at a time. Um, some of them have been announced and many unannounced to Xbox console and PC, including Starfield, the highly anticipated new space epic currently in development by Bethesda Game Studios. So, what does this mean for the average gamer and lamer out there? Well, here are some of the games that are now under the Microsoft money umbrella. They have Dishonored, Wolfenstein, The Elder Scrolls. My dogs are very unhappy outside today. I don't know why. Fallout series, Doom, Starfield, The Evil Within, and Prey. Now, there's more to that. They involved because it's not just Bethesda. It's ZeniMax, which has a bunch of other studios like Arcane, ID, which is of course the Doom guys, Tango Gameworks, and some others that I can't really read because it's really tiny on the image I saved. But so just kind of expect that. That's pretty big news, and it's made a lot of jealousy. So, in fact, it was such a big thing right before they did the Xbox pre-orders that there was a hashtag for Sony by Konami. Konami. Rowdy would make fun of me if I said whatever. Whoever they are, they make pachinko games now, basically. But yeah, so it's affecting. It was a pretty major move. Now, here's the thing: are these games going to be exclusives? And if you remember later, we're going to talk in bonus points which console has the best exclusives. Yes and no. They are going to be on a quote case by case basis. So we'll see, is Microsoft going to hold this close to them and not let anybody play with it, play with the toy they brought, or you know, they're going to share. We'll see what happens. Now let's go ahead and go to the next thing, which are the just hold on. I need a second, guys, before I talk about this. The Xbox pre-orders. I didn't get one. See, I had to work. I actually was doing a virtual class at the same time that they went live. So it didn't really work out for me. And honestly, the way it was done, while it sounded good on paper, it was really awful for consumers. So let's talk about the differences between the PlayStation 5 launch and the Xbox Series launch. So I'm gonna compare this to some things. I'm gonna make a metaphor, right? So the place or a simile, whatever you want to say. Whoever's an English major, I teach fine arts. Look, deal with it. Okay. PlayStation 5 launch was like the Hunger Games to me. Look, we knew it was going to happen. Like we knew where we were going to go to, right? We knew where we had to get the stuff. We even had a time to expect, and they would tell us like when it was go time, right? But it appears that some game makers don't play by the rules, and they announced the console launch early, causing everyone to rush to the nearest computer and type in PS5 pre-order, only to be caught up in a virtual bloodbath of epic proportions. This was honestly a bit more fair, though, if you think about it, than it was more fair to the average consumer that was unprepared, because they if you were sitting around and you heard the news, like, man, you had some time to do it. Now, Rowdy 5000, who will be here in a little bit, he didn't didn't get one at first, but he ended up getting one later. They've actually been pretty good about restocking. They just did this last week, and they expect to have more. So, the PlayStation 5 we went over last week has had a pretty high failure rate on the SoC. So they were expecting a pretty low amount available. So I'm guessing they are getting it together now. We'll see what happens. Next up, the Xbox Series launch. Well, what was that like? Well, you ever watched the movie 300? And in this one, we're gonna don't pay too much attention to who's the bad guy here, okay? But in this one, the gamers and lamers out there were the Persians storming the hot gates. Okay. They were going after the 300. And the video game stores in this were the Spartans. And you know what? They tried. They knew, like, oh man, there's going to be a lot coming at us. They tried dang hard. But in the end, they did succumb to the evil, vile, dastardly scammers. Scammers have and bots. I mean, they just tore up the whole thing. And I mean, I know a lot of people that were getting consoles, but I was one of look, guys, I was teaching class and pressing buttons on another screen. Okay. I tried. It didn't work out. And then I tried later when some people were like, oh, Best Buy just opened theirs up. Go, 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 go. Didn't work out. So, it was a bit different. And if you go to eBay right now, uh, it really just kind of you could just see people selling the Xbox Series X for like $1,000, for $2,000, and I don't know who's buying them. Now, some people are, going in and reporting on eBay saying, "Hey, this guy has posted their GameStop receipt, and they purchased the game at blah blah time and blah 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 blah." So I don't know. It was just like kind of like what we're hearing in the background. They just got a train went through the whatever protections they put in place. All right, so Xbox, Microsoft has come out though, and this is what they're saying about the getting more out. They put on Twitter, "We're humbled by the record-breaking demand for Xbox Series X and S. Huge thanks to everyone for the excitement." And by the way, they even sold out in Japan. If you know anything about their sales in Japan, that's pretty insane because they sold, I think, 30 Xbox Ones last month. It's a very small number that sells. Anyway, they continued saying, "If you weren't successful today, be sure to sign up with retailers for updates and expect more consoles to be available on November 10th." Well, guess who also has to work on November 10th? Me. So I'm going to hopefully get a retailer that I can purchase it from. I don't know. I'm not, from my understanding, the Xbox had more available and it's still sold out like that. I mean, it was quick, it was done. Now, there have been some things that have come out, along with some extra news. A while back, we talked about the Xbox Series expandable storage, and the price was leaked, and it was $229. Well, was it true? No. Was it close? Yeah, it's like $10 off. The thing's $219 for a terabyte of storage that you plug up like an old memory card. Well, some people are having some concerns about it. Now, keep in mind, this is some sweet, sweet NVMe SSD goodness. It is fast. But we have a nerd alert to talk about why, if you should or shouldn't purchase one of these. So get ready for a nerd alert. Here goes. You can still use a regular hard drive or an SSD, but you can't run games made specifically for the Xbox Series S or X on them. You can, however, run your older games from the Xbox One and beyond. They will have improved load times and graphics, but most likely not on the same scale the NVMe saved games will. Another net benefit of having just, if you don't want to get this expensive one and you just have that old SSD or hard drive sitting around, you can actually store those games on the external hard drive if you aren't actively playing them. Now, this is just for Xbox Series games, right? You can actually play your old games off of it, but you can transfer back and forth your games and everything will be copacetic, right? Now, here's the difference. Think about it this way. If you've got a game that's 60 gigabytes and you don't want to download it because that's going to take you like 45 minutes, put it on the external drive, and then transfer it over in 2 or 3 and just kind of flip flop things around from speedy drive to not so speedy drive. So that's just a way that you can think about it. Also, I have a fancy chart that I can talk to you about. So here are what the solid state, here's what your traditional USB drive can and cannot play. So it still can play, it can still store your games. It can still actually use quick resume, which is really cool. It can play original Xbox games. It can play Xbox 360 games. It can play Xbox One games. But it cannot play, you cannot play your games off of a traditional drive that are Xbox Series games. So this concludes your Xbox Series NVMe SSD and external hard drive nerd alert. Now back to our regularly scheduled news roundup. And by the way, so speaking of things that are hard to buy, like an Xbox, appears your grandmother can't buy the right system. According to Amazon, the Xbox One X sales rank went up by 747% on Amazon. So it went it went up pretty good. So what happened is, if you know the way that the system's name, and if you heard the podcast, you know that I've called it Xbox One X or Xbox Series X by accident multiple times because it's a confusing set of names. Well, it is what it is. By the way, I apologize. Apparently, today, this podcast and the time now, the railroad track that is down the road is going back and forth over and over, and it will never stop, and the dogs won't stop barking. So just know that the dogs are going to keep barking, and you're just going to hear it if it's coming through on the mic. Yeah. Okay. Next. I want to talk about a rumor. Let's talk about a rumor. Let's talk about something that's calming to me instead of listening to the dogs bark and interrupt me because I've got the brain of a squirrel. I get very distracted very easily. It's part of who I am. But back to what we were saying. Let's talk about acorn. I mean, not acorns. A rumor. So there is a rumor. I wouldn't even say a rumor going around. It's just kind of fun that Xbox plans to make Bethesda and Obsidian, who is also their first party group, right? Kiss and make nice because they made the game Fallout New Vegas years ago, and everybody's super excited about it. And in fact, I've really annoyed Rowdy by sending him lots and lots of images. There's a really fun meme where you see something that is holding holding Obsidian, one that's holding Bethesda, and says "kiss now, kiss." Uh, so yeah. Anyway, you know the old saying, right? First comes love, and then comes marriage, then comes the next edition of Fallout New Vegas. Well, according to a question by Michael Hamilton on Twitter, they asked, "Hey, Obsidian, so Fallout New Vegas 2 is a legit possibility now, right?" Which they responded with an emoji with their arms up, like, maybe. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's probably the best part to me about the Bethesda news. I'm a huge Obsidian fan. Actually, if you look behind me on the wall, now I got my one of my Deadfire posters up. So, or not Deadfire, that's the original Pillars of Eternity. So, okay, guys. So we are down to just some quick extra news before we hit the PlayStation news. No Man's Sky had an update. So I guess this is like my game impressions. No Man's Sky had an update that added a whole lot more. Um, there's more variety in the landscapes. There are bigger mountains. There are more animals. The everything looks more full and dense in a lot of the places you go to. So if you haven't played No Man's Sky in a while, it also one thing I noticed, No Man's Sky loads way faster. I played on the Xbox One X, and it loaded, the load screen would take me a couple minutes beforehand. Now it was loading in less than a minute. So that's been a big update. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to have to go ahead and get started on the Sony news because I don't think Rowdy's just ready, but it's okay. He's been working a whole lot lately. All right, guys. So this is the Sony news, or Travis tries to give you fair and balanced Sony news, but probably fails miserably. Let's get to it. Hey, did you know that Sony has more consoles for you? Well, here's what they put out on Twitter. PlayStation says on Twitter, hey guys, let's be honest. The PlayStation 5 pre-orders could have been a lot smoother. We truly apologize for that. Over the next few days, we'll release more PS5 consoles for pre-orders. Retailers will share more details, and more PS5s will be available through the end of the year. So, hopefully things work out with that. We will see what happens. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm sure Rowdy's excited about it. We'll see. Because I do plan on getting a PlayStation 5 at some point. It probably won't be for a little while, though. All right, next up, Sony punches back at Game Pass with PlayStation Plus Collection. If you're signed up for the PS Plus subscription service on the PS5, then Sony will give you access to download a whole bunch of titles. Now, it took me a little bit of work to figure this out because I don't know how the subscription services work on PlayStation. I get confused really easily with that. But here are the games you can play on this thing. Batman Arkham Knight, Battlefield 1, Bloodborne, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15, God of War, Infamous, Second Son, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat X, Persona 5, Ratchet and Clank, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us Remastered, Uncharted 4 Until Dawn, and Resident Evil 7. That's a lot of games. That's a lot of good games. It's good for somebody like me that hasn't owned a Sony. This is what got me on Game Pass was the ability to play some of their old classics on a system for a decent price. This actually is kind of making me want to go get a PlayStation 5 if I can. So I'm still probably going to Series X, but pretty enticing, honestly. All right. Now, if you download all these games, though, because keep in mind, the PlayStation has a pretty limited disc size, and I don't know a whole lot about saving on external storage, right? Whether you can use old stuff or if you got to use those fancy NVMe SSDs. Well, if you download all these games on launch day, that's actually 605 gigabytes of storage. Um, it's a bit. It's a bit. So you might have to like pick and choose because if you download all those, you probably couldn't get an EA game on your PlayStation 5. That's for sure. All right. And the last thing that I have for the Sony news, because it wasn't really that big of a week for it. I mean, they let out all their good news last week, and we're almost done with the news section, and we're clocking in at like 20 minutes today. So this is pretty fantastic. All right. Assassin's Creed Valhalla has been hotly contested to just not run that well on the PlayStation compared to the Xbox. There have been reports that it's only going to run at 30 frames per second in 4K or run at 2K at 60 frames. Well, guess what? They're wrong. Okay. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be a 60 frames per second and 4K game on the PlayStation 5. Now, this is according to Eurogamer Denmark, and they're pretty good about this stuff. They mentioned that it will do the whole thing, and they will use the SSD for improved loading times and the Tempest engine for 3D sound. So that is it for the gaming news. Man, we got it in time for you to have a half-hour lunch break. That's pretty awesome today. So next up on the list of lamer gamers, we have the Lamer of the Week award. So we're going to talk about the lamest news of the week and determine which one wins. All right, guys, we will see you after the break. All right, if you are hanging out in chat, I am doing a little quick break. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to check to see if if the Twitch stream is running, because I don't know. People don't leave me messages on here, so sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So I need to check things and see if everything's cool. And welcome back, me. I got to enter a code apparently. All right. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and hit the Lamer of the Week award in just a second. So, actually, you know what? I can hit this and see if it's working. So, on a quick break, I'm going to hit this screen real quick, and I will be right back. starting here in just a second. Let the theme song get back and going, and we'll start the next segment. Rowdy is running behind today, so he will probably join us in bonus points here in a little bit. So, I'm going to start up the music. All right, guys. So I'm going to start up the lamer of the week. You're going to hear me clap because this is also a live podcast recording. Rowdy 5000 takes this and edits it down for us every week. The dude is working like 70 hours a week, and so am I right now. So it's crazy. I apologize for that. We will have him some point show up in the bonus points segment. But thank y'all for dropping by. And I'm going to do my clap, and I'm going to get started on the lamer of the week segment. Here goes. All right, guys, before we get started with the Lamer of the Week Award, if you like what we're doing, drop on by our Twitter at LamerGamersCast and give us a follow. That way you can keep up with us lamers, because there's always something going on, like a hurricane, a plant explosion, snakes crawling in my dishwasher, random petrochemical plants just kind of releasing things. That seems to happen next to Rowdy's house. But you can also join in the fun by making suggestions for the Lamer of the Week award there. And join the Twitch. Hey, twitch.com, whatever it is, twitch.tv/LamerGamers podcast. All right, guys. So this is where I talk about just the lamest news from the week. So we have three main things that we want to talk about, and they're all kind of connected. First up, well, this first one's not really just selling out. Everything is selling out. There is nothing you can buy. There have been pre-orders for PlayStations. There's been pre-orders for the Xbox. There's been pre-orders for the what is it, the RTX 3070, 3080, 3090, and they're just selling out. There is nothing you can buy for some reason. Like nobody can get what they're trying to. So that's the first one. That is going to be a runner-up. Now it seems, because last week the winner of the Lamer of the Week was the PlayStation 5 pre-order fiasco. So why is the Xbox not winning it this week? Because the Xbox Series pre-order, if you were listening in the news segment, I was mentioning the difference between the PlayStation 5 pre-order and the Xbox Series pre-order. The PlayStation 5 pre-order reminded me of the Hunger Games, where they were going to announce when you run to the center and get everything you need to, right? You go get your PlayStation console, you go get your controllers, you get your headsets, you get those fancy solid state drives, whatever they're going to be. And then they announced it early, and there was just a bloodbath, right? The Xbox one was a little bit different. The Xbox Series one was more like the Persians in 300 storming the hot gates, you know? So, except in this case, the Persians were kind of us. We'll get to that here in a minute. I'm going to expand on that. But the next runner up, not just everybody not selling enough things, Xbox's naming scheme for the Xbox Series X is the next thing on the list. That is another runner-up for the lamest thing this week. In fact, the Xbox One X had its ranking on Amazon raised by 747%. Now, let's be honest. If like 12 people bought the Xbox One X like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and then this week like maybe more did by accident, that's not a huge difference, but either way, somebody's grandma was confused trying to buy the Nintendo, Sony, Xbox, PS5. So, yeah, now at the same time, why is this not the winner? Well, I mean, who else? They're not the only company that names things like this. Let me remind you of one of the best gaming companies in my opinion, Nintendo. What have they named? Well, let's look at the Nintendo DS line. And people didn't really complain too much about that. So, with the Nintendo DS alone, we had the Nintendo DS, we had the Nintendo DS Lite, we had the Nintendo DS I. I remember that one, the Nintendo DS I, the Nintendo DS XL, I guess was just a bigger version of it. Then Nintendo 3DS, which is confusing. I mean, people say that Nintendo was crazy for going from Wii to Wii U. It was too confusing for consumers. But honestly, 3DS sold like hotcakes. I think it was more along the lines of the fact that the Wii U was not doing what gamers wanted. But next up, we had the Nintendo 3DS XL, then the Nintendo 2DS. That's a whole bunch of consoles, right? Well, then not only that, we had the new. You know, when Nintendo started getting very Capcom-esque, they would just put like Super in front of it or number two. Well, then they just started calling them all new. Like new Super Mario Brothers, right? New Nintendo 2DS, new Nintendo 3DS, new Nintendo 3DS XL, new Nintendo 2DS XL. It was kind of a mess. So that's why I don't think they necessarily deserve this round. So what do you think? If you don't agree with the runners up and the winners, because I haven't gotten to the winners yet, I think y'all will like my winners. Okay. So if you don't agree, let us know in the chat. Let us know on Twitter. What do you think the lamest news of the week was? So let's, you know who I'm gonna also say a runner up, guys. Here's my other runner up for lamer of the week. It's those trains down the road and my dog's barking. That's what I'm gonna say. They're driving me insane. I have never had, like, we've had episodes where their dog's barking, not a problem. Today, nonstop. It's amazing. All right, the winner of the Lamer of the Week award, the gold coveted, the honorable trophy of the lamest thing there could be. Scalpers and scammers. If you go on eBay right now, you will see Xbox Series X consoles. You'll see PlayStation 5 consoles. You will see probably the Xbox One X being sold as an Xbox Series X console for over $1,000. These people are just disingenuous slime. They are the scourge of the earth in the gaming world, in my personal opinion. Now, I saw some people on Reddit earlier. It's like, whenever I went on Reddit and was saying, hey, how can we report these people on eBay? Because it's not fair that they can go and do a $50 pre-order and sell that $50 pre-order for $1,000 on eBay. And you don't even know if that's really going to be real. And how many people are getting screwed over from this? They are the scum of the earth. And another thing is, y'all remember I was talking about how the difference is between the launches. The PlayStation 5 reminds me of the Hunger Games, and they just announced it quick. The Xbox Series, though, was like the Persians going in after the Spartans, like going through the hot gates. Well, if you want to use that kind of equation, the scammers and these scalpers running the bots, I mean, they were just destroying, they were dismantling things. It was very unfair. So in my mind, the scammers, the scalpers, these just terrible people are going to be the winners of the Lamer of the Week award. Now, once again, I went on the Reddit. I went on the Reddit and said, how do we report? And I got attacked. I got attacked by scammers. Like, well, you could have been smarter, and you could have just sold that their thing for and made you some profits if you were smart enough, like me. No, I have at least some integrity. I don't stoop to what those people are doing to make money. That is a scam. You can't trust them. I implore you, lamers out there, do not, please, go and spend money on these people on eBay. I know they won they won the award. They won the Lamer of the Week award. That's all they need. Don't give them your money. Go report them if you can. So that's it for the Lamer of the Week. Next up, we have our special bonus points section where we asked a whole bunch of lamers on Twitter, Discord, and other places, who has the console with the best exclusives. Now, y'all get ready because it's going to get wild. See you here after the break. Hey guys, if you're just dropping by, I just finished the Lamer of the Week section. I tried to keep that one a little bit longer than usual because Mr. 5000 is trying to eat. I only went 10 minutes on that section. I'm not very good at making that longer, but I didn't keep enough notes. So in this next section, I'm going to be doing the bonus points, and it's going to get a little crazy. So expect this to be pretty high intensity. It's going to sound like an MMA match. And so I'm going to have to be away from my mic because I get loud. I have a teacher's voice. I work in discipline and I teach fine arts, and so I can get really loud. And it's Rowdy actually puts a limiter on me to keep me from clipping all the time whenever I get excitable. So, and I'm just tired. I worked this morning. I've worked all week because I do things outside of a regular teacher's duties. So I am good and what's the word? Crazy today. So, all right. So I'm going to be back here in just a minute, and we will get started on the lamer. I'm sorry, on the bonus points section. Be right back. get started here in a second. All right, guys. So we are about to start the bonus point section. Y'all get ready because it's going to get loud. It's going to get crazy. Uh, so Rowdy 5000 is going to tag in at some point during this broadcast and join in the party. It's a tag team match, right, man? So, you guys ready for this? Because it's going to get wild. All right. Here goes. Oh, I got to do my clap. If you don't know, I'm recording a podcast and I got to do the clap so Rowdy knows where to look. Otherwise, he gets, it's tougher. Here goes. All right, guys, before we start gathering some bonus points, if you want to listen to another bonus point segments, but maybe not the entire show attached to it, go and check out the Lamer Gamer Bites. It's BYTES on Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio. Now, what's really fun is you can't find Lamer Gamers Podcast on iHeart, but you can find Lamer Gamer Bites. We don't know why. And iHeartRadio is apparently just an entire group of robots. So nobody's answered us. Anyway, on Lamer Gamers Bites, we break up the show for you every Wednesday and are actually still adding older content whenever I can. So head on over to subscribe and find a segment of the show you enjoyed. Now, let's gather some bonus points. This segment is where we gather some bonus points outside of our own points of views to give a more well-rounded approach to a hot gaming topic. And well, what's that hot gaming topic this week? Well, we asked all you lamers on Twitter, Facebook, and Discord the following questions. What consoles have the best exclusives? Now, whenever you ask a question like that, it's especially right now, especially all that big news that just happened with Bethesda and Microsoft, especially with all the exclusives that have been out there. It doesn't just start out. It doesn't stay friendly usually. It turns into a war. So we're going to introduce this one like it's about to be a knockdown, just crazy match. Here goes. Welcome, lamers and gamers, to the latest battle in the console war arena that only 2020 could create. Before we get to the action and bonus points where everybody will do their best to score big with the minds of lamers across the world, let's hit up the tales of the game. Sorry, had to kind of use the UFC thing in there. In the red corner, we have the company that just won't die. Founded in Kyoto, Japan, they've been in the ring before video games were even a gleam in the parent companies of the other consoles' eyes. And according to their rivals, Nintendo since 1889. Even though they've had a series of ups and downs in their career, they have an arsenal of exclusive games that just won't quit. We're talking Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, The Legend of Zelda, Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Metroid, Smash Brothers, and Splatoon. In fact, Nintendo has more exclusives they've forgotten about than both of the other consoles combined. Will Sony and Microsoft have enough to take down this titan of gaming that's been going on for more than a century? We'll see, because next up, gaming in the blue corner. We have the console with the most consistent wins in console sales in recent memory. Founded in Tokyo, Japan in 1946, this company has put out some of the most massive consoles that sound like airplanes taking off into the hearts of gamers everywhere. Sony might have made their name selling Walkmans, but now they own the ring with their TVs and consoles, with an exclusive list of games like God of War, Ratchet & Clank, The Last of Us, Uncharted, Spider-Man, Gran Turismo, Ghost of Tsushima, and Horizon Zero Dawn. Will Sony have what it takes to rumble on through to the end, or will their batteries die before the end of the show? And the latest competitor. Gaming in the green corner. We have the console with fresh new moves, the heaviest hitting hardware, and money to burn. Founded in Albuquerque, New Mexico in 1975, this American company has blended the world of PC and console gaming like no other. If they can't win you over, they will buy you. Microsoft may not have always been the most original, but they sure do pack a mean punch with exclusives like Halo, Gears of War, Forza Motorsport, Sea of Thieves, and more. In a surprise twist, they recently acquired the entire catalog of ZeniMax and Bethesda, including the likes of Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, and some other ones we don't even know. Will the other consoles be ready for the 1-2 punch of exclusives and Game Pass? Let's find out what the lamers say on this special Console Wars edition of Bonus Points. So, y'all got the intense bonus points introduction, so let's get to it. Who is going to win the console war in bonus points today? Now, I'm going to try to get as intense as possible, and if y'all got sorry, I just had wow in the chat, so that's good. Okay, guys, so first up, we have Tony Coffee, the Goomba, on Twitter. He says, and we'll try to do like maybe some Mean Gene or maybe some Macho Man or something. Nintendo consoles, hand down, both the other big three can't even match put together, in my honest opinion. Followed up by a drop kick from Budget Arcade Podcast that says, well, since they don't say next gen, I'm going to agree with the Goomba here. And then flying from the turnbuckle, Tony Coffee at the Goomba says, I see you're a man of culture as well. Now, out of nowhere, from underneath the floor, pops up Grief Burrito with a very unexpected Philips CDI. I will fight for the underdog. That's possibly the best one I've seen. So, by the way, thank you, Misfit Wookie, for liking the introduction. Now, after Grief Burrito pops up from underneath, it shocks Rowdy 5000 in the Twitter. And he says, I take everything back I've said on this thread. This is the winner. No questions asked. Zelda CDI titles are better than Ocarina of Time. Followed by, coming from out of the audience, the lights shine on the next one. They, on somebody with a toothpick, they throw it down and say, hey, God of War, Sony PlayStation, by Nerds Amalgamated. So, good one so far. Let's go on to the next match. The next match is between Lit Gaming Arena Podcast and Budget Arcade. Now, Lit Gaming Arena Podcast jumps up and goes for a grapple by saying the Xbox Series X has the best exclusives of launching with thousands of games spanning 4 generations of consoles. That followed up by a dodge by Budget Arcade Podcast. They say, well, that didn't say next gen. Well, honestly, I meant next gen, by the way, guys, but there's only so many things I can put on Twitter. Now, after he dodges out of the way, Lit Gaming Arena goes and grabs on with just a good hold on the shoulder and yanks, saying, well, they did not say next gen. Budget Arcade falls back and says, well, true. Next up, as we have Ocho Doro Parlay Hour runs into the ring just screaming, Xbox is apparently their choice. Now, we have after that, next up we have Talk Shonen, who just simply says Sony. So I guess they're just yelling at each other. It's kind of like when the wrestling matches where they just stand and people are trying to hold them back and they're not really doing anything. So Ochadora Parlay Hour Podcast, Xbox Talk Shonen, which I think is a podcast. It's at Talk Shonen on Twitter. They just say Sony. Good enough. It's good enough. Now, more than a podcast jumps in. He falls from the ceiling like Sting. He says, no question, it's Sony consoles for the past 15 to 20 years. Followed by the Lamppost Gaming throwing somebody on a table, saying the best exclusives have to go to PlayStation. They announced so many new exclusives when they showed the price of the PS5 that it made me reconsider buying one. By the way, the Lamppost Gaming has an awesome Twitch you guys ought to check out. Then, next up, we have the Petri Dish, a science gaming podcast or science comedy podcast says, I'm so out of touch, I can't tell if this is a popular opinion or an unpopular one, but I would say Nintendo is what Petri Dish says. Followed by the Midwest Meltdown saying, according to the Meltdown fans, which they have a good podcast. Also, Nintendo is their favorite. However, PlayStation, in their honest opinion, edges everyone out. God of War, Uncharted, and Last of Us alone put them at top. Petri Dish follows up by saying, Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Smash Brothers, Animal Crossing, apparently. I forgot to mention Animal Crossing earlier, which then Midwest Meltdown comes back with a roundhouse kick saying, one, I think Animal Crossing is just some weird anomaly given the year, LOL. Two, I guess, in my honest opinion, it comes down to the amount of sales over a given time, like God of War, The Last of Us 2, Uncharted, just killing it and still going. Although, yes, those other franchises still sell, but for truly how much? Now, I will have to say, I'm going to jump in here just a little bit. I don't. I got to. The Last of Us 2 is big, don't get me wrong, but does it have the mass appeal of something like Animal Crossing? That would be my just kind of like jab in there as the referee that is like, whenever people are looking away, like I kick the guy a little bit. All right, Midwest Meltdown continues. The longer, I guess. 3. I think it's the nostalgic feel for Mario and Zelda that keep drawing people to it. The true test that we obviously do not know yet is, will such exclusives for Sony or Microsoft stand the test of time like games for Nintendo has? That is a good question. Petri Dish responds, I don't think nostalgia is why Breath of the Wild sold as well as it did. I think it is because one of the most celebrated games of the past decade in terms of quality. I think nostalgia does explain like 90% of Pokemon sales, though. Oh, low blow by Petri Dish to Nintendo. I would agree to that because Pokemon has been not good, not good. Which Midwest Meltdown agrees. Yes, Pokemon and Mario are the main ones I was referencing. Breath of the Wild, no doubt sold because it slaps. Petri Dish says, I know. I bought Pokemon Shield because I had nostalgia goggles. I bought Pokemon Shield because Rowdy bought Sword and I had to buy Shield and I didn't finish the game. I think Rowdy finished it. I did not enjoy. Pokemon has gotten very stale and it's sad. I mean, it is what it is. All right. I'm gonna save this one between Rowdy 5000 and Petri Dish for whenever he gets on here in a minute. He's supposed to be sneaking up on here in just a bit. He might jump out from underneath the ring like Doink or something. I don't know how he's going to enter in, but it'll be fantastic. So we're going to move to Misfit Wookie at Misfit Wookie on Twitter. Also hanging out with us in the Twitch. Thank you, good sir. All right. Misfit Wookie says, Microsoft, but not just the exclusives. They're focusing on their Game Pass, even getting all of EA's content. With their purchase of ZeniMax and all the IP that entails, adding in Game Pass access day of release in Microsoft wins by thinking outside exclusivity. I would agree with that personally because I think Game Pass is it's an exclusive. It is, I mean, they're all going to copy it. I mean, we're already seeing that with PS now. They're now classics or whatever they're doing. It's basically a Game Pass-esque design, right? The difference is Microsoft is working. It's actually doing pretty good. The revenue is insane. You have 15 million people on that service for $10 a piece. They're pulling in like $1.5 billion a year in revenue. You can check my math on that because I teach fine arts, and that's probably wrong. All right, followed up by a as Misfit Wookie goes and does just a solid, smooth punch straight ahead. More Than a Podcast comes back with a jab, says, if you went console versus console, most would stop halfway to 20 when it comes to notable exclusives, while Sony would surpass 25 to 30 titles in that same breath. Followed up out of nowhere, Japan Lover 79 at Japan Lover 79 on Twitter says, honestly, I've never been a fan of consoles exclusive to begin with, but if Persona 6 gets announced for PS5 sometime soon, I'd have to pick Sony. Also, Ghost of Tsushima is what Assassin's Creed could be, but isn't. Ooh. Now that would be one I need Rowdy in here for because I don't own a Sony, but Rowdy does. And he said last podcast that Ghost of Tsushima might be the best console exclusive out there. So I'm curious if he would do like go and grab the person with Japan Lover, grab More Than a Podcast, which has a fantastic podcast too, by the way, and just do kind of one of those double suplexes in between them back off of the ring onto a table. That would be how that goes. Okay. I think that would be where they go with that one. So Spyhard's podcast says, despite being Xbox Series X pre-order guy, I think PlayStation 5 has the better exclusives. Now, I would say for now, but I'm super jealous of you, Spyhard's podcast, because I couldn't get an Xbox. Now, in the Twitch chat, we have a surprise attack by Misfit Wookie, who says, my wife's considering the Game Pass now, not even before upgrading to the Series X. Ooh, so Xbox One, man, I have an Xbox One X. That's what got me into Microsoft after never owning one of those systems. It's surprisingly good. It was the Trojan horse that brought me into Microsoft. Uh-oh, guys. I'm hearing a rumbling. It's a rumbling that I can't say over in the stream chat because I'm trying to keep this appropriate for all audiences. But I think there's been whispers, there have been rumors that Rowdy 5000 may be coming back. We shall see soon. Now, next up, we have at Texas Blues, though, while we're waiting, while we're hoping that he shows up. Maybe he has that Cinderella story. Maybe Rowdy 5000 will make it in time. We don't know, but there's a whisper in the air. At Real Texas Blues says, in my opinion, probably PS5, though. I might be a bit biased here because I don't really know any of the Xbox games. Could be. And honestly, look, guys, I'm going to be completely honest with you. This would have been massively different last week if we had that announcement never have happened, right, with Bethesda. Uh-oh. Do I hear a combo breaker?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Rowdy 5000, welcome, good sir.
I finally made it. I finally made it, man.
Oh, man, it is wild. I am yelling like a crazy person tonight. Good luck with limiting my clipping on this pod.
Speaking of, man,
insane.
where are we at? I still haven't even pulled up the notes.
All right, so what I want, can you just come in and do one of those like running, jumping from the turnbuckle, Hurricane Rana, like power bomb things, and tell us what you think has the best exclusives right now? On the spot, will he do it?
Hang on, I got a clap sync for us.
Okay. So I don't know how that's going to work on my end because I'm already recording, but we'll figure out. Do we need to clap? Is that how we open up like this ability of yours?
We'll just do a clap and then I'll edit everything else that doesn't need to be on there.
That's great. All right, I'm ready when you are, good sir. Well, let's do this. It's like a special move, right?
Yes, it's a tag team move.
It's a tag team move. What we do, guys, is we clap, which synchronize our powers and the podcast, and then we can do all sorts of craziness. That's the trick.
Yep, I'm pulling up show notes.
By the way, we're at Texas. I just finished up with Texas Blues. It's about to be Lucas Egan at Lucas Egan. That's LUKASEGGEN is who we're going to say next after we possibly get yours in. Now, I can talk about mine while you're getting that ready if you want to do that.
All right. Okay. Hang on.
Thoughts.
You ready to clap?
I'm ready to clap. Let's get this going.
All righty. 1, 2, 3.
All right, Rowdy. Who do you think? Who's the winner?
All right. Well, obviously, I say PS5 has the best exclusives. I've been a PlayStation fan. I don't know how many listeners have heard my whole story about why I'm a Sony fan. But I've been back and forth between all the consoles since the GameCube, Dreamcast, PS2, Xbox era. In my household, we had every single one of those consoles. My brother had the Xbox and the Dreamcast, and I had the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube, and then we just traded back and forth. The next generation, we're talking Wii, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3. That was where I got a little salty because my Xbox 360 red ringed, and whenever I sent it off because it was within warranty. Got it back, and it was awful, absolutely awful. It was grinding. It was actually scratching my discs. And when I was talking with Xbox, they were like, "No, we already fixed it. It's something you did." So I was like, "Well, if you, PlayStation's got the better exclusives, anyways."
Now that's back then. What do you think about this Bethesda craziness? Does that even the playing fields any?
Look, I've been trying to think of a way to say this without looking salty, and it's not possible because the way I feel about it, PlayStation has these exclusives that they've built from the ground up. With people like Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, stuff like that. You got the God of War series, the Uncharted series, things like that. And then Xbox is... Alright, I'm just going to come out and say it. Xbox is that rich kid who was mad that nobody was including them, was mad that everybody was talking trash on them, and was like, "Oh, well, my dad's going to buy all of these video game studios, and I'm going to have the best exclusives now." So, I mean, they're calling Elder Scrolls and Fallout exclusives, but they've had Bethesda for a week. Now, when it comes to exclusives for the Xbox, I really do like Halo. I really do like Gears of War. Sea of Thieves is one of my favorite multiplayer games of all time. But they just don't match up to what PlayStation has. You've never played God of War. You've never played Uncharted. You've never played it. You don't know the stories behind them. They're so good.
So what you're telling me is that a game that people can easily put in 500 hours is better than a game that's probably done in 15?
Wait, what?
How long does it take to beat God of War?
I mean, it depends on how much of the game you do.
How long does it take you to beat God of War?
It's definitely less than 30. Okay. I mean, if you wanted 100% that game. But that's the thing, like, so are we saying that because it's longer, it's a better exclusive?
That's part of the battle, man. Who would win?
No,
people
that's not part of the battle.
Literally live in this game versus people who have an enjoyment for a while.
But
just wait 7 years until the next one.
But I could play those 500-hour plus games on PlayStation. They're not exclusives yet.
Maybe not in the future. Maybe not in the future. It's a case-by-case basis now, right? I'm just messing with you.
But no,
go ahead.
That's my thoughts on it. Just I mean, like I said, I can't do it without being salty.
I mean, I gotta say, if you look, when that happened, a lot of Sony people were basically going to Salt Lake City on a salt beach, making a salt throne inside of their giant salt castle after they made a saltwater lake moat with some saltwater crocodiles in it. It was pretty rough. I saw hashtags about, "Hey, Sony, buy Konami, whatever it is this week." I call it wrong every time. Or all these other companies. I think it's been an extremely disruptive move. That being said, I still think you go for exclusives, system sellers. I do think Bethesda is a system seller. I do think God of War is a system seller. But who has the most system sellers in exclusives? Nintendo.
I don't know, man. Whenever Fallout 76 Part 2 comes out.
Oh no, that's done.
I may get.
Now that is the one thing that really. Microsoft, don't release Fallout 76 number 2. Don't release Fallout 77. I will not. Man. That almost made me leave Bethesda forever.
All I have to say is, like, whenever they bought Bethesda, dude, Don't get me wrong, I'm still salty about it because I absolutely love Bethesda games. Elder
Now,
Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, Wolfenstein. I've played all of them, dude. I love them. But I chuckled inside because they inherited Fallout 76.
they did inherit Fallout 76, and that's part of ZeniMax. Now, I'm gonna do a little bit of research because I still have this weird feeling that part of that concept with ZeniMax is that they're gonna start kind of going against Tencent, which makes a ridiculous amount of revenue and is everywhere right now. I do think part of this deal is also, of course, they need those exclusives to get people over to Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
They need these games that somebody can play for 300 or 400 hours that will make them keep that subscription lasting longer and longer. Whereas
if they have game, well, no, I'm not talking trash. I'm just saying like it makes sense to have a game where you could put 500 hours into it, and you play it for more than 4, 5, 6 months because a game costs $60. That's 4 months of Game Pass. And if that's the only game they play on Game Pass for 6 months, boom, they've already made more than what that game costs. I understand it. It makes sense. I'm still salty about it.
Well, and I think too, you look at Fallout 76 versus Fallout 4. Who are the core gamers for this? You have people that play Fallout 76 that are they're not really introverts. They're more extroverted. They're more willing to talk to other people. They're more willing to interact with other people. Whereas games like Fallout 4, you have Skyrim, things like that are for the people like me that want to play video games and not deal with people. That's who this gets. That's why I'm like, man, that's a good move. I don't like people a lot of times. I hate to tell you. Anyway, so let's go ahead and I keep pushing this one off. Let's go ahead and get at Lucas Egan's real quick. And then we'll get to the Twitch chat. Then we'll hop back over. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So at Lucas Egan, he is the digital content producer at Review Journal, I think out in somewhere, I think in Las Vegas, and co-host of Land Parties Pod. He says Nintendo is a good choice. Yeah, I got somebody on my team, right? Yeah. If we're talking Sony and Microsoft, I think Sony has the best exclusives. However, Microsoft bought so many studios that will one day bear fruit. When that happens, things are going to get really interesting.
It'll bear poots.
Oh, hey, do you know what? Do you want to hit Omega C Studio and then we'll hop over to Twitch and get those?
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll down to where we're at.
It's towards the end. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read K-Muffs
Omega C Studio. Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Cool.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. K-Muff in the Twitch chat says, I've always considered the battle of exclusives between Xbox and PS. To throw Nintendo in there is like bringing a bagel to a bun party. That's fantastic. But,
okay.
But I feel people flock to say Nintendo because it's the OG of our time. Personally, I say Xbox wins exclusives for me. I feel the genre class of the exclusives are different, and Xbox always hits what I like and come on to Game Pass, and I come over to Game Pass because the style is better. And he says God of War is the one game that Xbox I wish actually made. God of War is a beautiful game.
Dude, it's so good. Oh my god. Dude, and even the old God of Wars were so good, man. It's just the story between Sony Santa Monica and Naughty Dog. Those writers, the story department has everybody beat. Oh my gosh, they're so good, man. Dude, just the newest God of War, Chef's Kiss.
Chef's Kiss. So I don't know what Omega C Studio is talking about, to be honest, but I'll let you read that one.
Hardly an original idea, but Dog of War. And I like how they put the Omega symbol in the of.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but that was a response. Hey, do you want to get Misfit Wookiees over in the Twitch? What he said about your points?
Yes, pulling it up right now. The Twitch. All right. So Misfit Wookie says, completely valid points, Rowdy, but Microsoft still has the cash. By the way, there are those two-timed PS5 exclusives Microsoft will still be releasing. No, and I understand, but we're talking about the best exclusives. Like, I understand they have the most exclusives and they have the most money. Like, I'm not denying any of that. But the question was the best exclusives, in my opinion. And in my opinion, Sony.
So in my head, Microsoft in this whole thing, you know Dragon Ball Z, right? The Spirit Bomb?
Yeah.
Except that Spirit Bomb is Game Pass and it's just getting money from everywhere. And
Yeah.
it's going to get bigger and bigger, and they're just going to throw it at the next company because it's already been rumored Sega might be next, but I think that's died down a little bit. Yeah, Xbox going to throw that money ball at somebody.
Dude, Microsoft needs to buy Sega because up until the pre-orders for these new Xboxes, Xbox wasn't a big seller in Japan.
No,
and
they sold out.
Yeah, no, they sold out in Japan. But if they were to buy Sega, that would be huge in Japan.
I think it's a smart move.
But back to what Misfit Wookie was saying, I had totally forgotten about the two-timed exclusive that Bethesda has coming out for PlayStation. There's Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo.
From what I understand, Deathloop is no longer timed exclusive.
Nope, it still is.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I've looked into it. It's still a time. They said they're still going to honor the timed exclusives for Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, but they're only timed exclusives.
So this is why we're rowdy, because I have no clue what Sony news is.
Sony news is there's no PlayStation 5s for pre-order, and
actually they updated. They've been adding more.
GameStop had some here the other day for a minute, and I forget who else. I stopped paying attention because I got mine.
All right, let's go ahead. Do you have anything else you want to do before we move on to the Discord lamers?
Nope.
All right, so we're trying to keep it as safe for everybody to listen to in a break room. So we got to tone down the Drufus a little bit. Drufus is great. He has some great things to say, but man, I think the problem is at the Game Witness podcast or Game Witness Discord, they know that I can't say certain things at this point because in the real world it would affect my job, right? So they just keep progressively putting worse and worse things.
Nice.
I guess I'll say Drufus. Do you want to say Wolvins? And we'll go back and forth, but we got to be Macho Man Randy Savage and Mean Gene.
I don't know what Mean Gene sounds like. I don't remember what Mean Gene sounds like.
Who do you want to be?
I mean, I'll be who could I be that wouldn't be a culturally insensitive
Ric Flair.
Woo!
Okay, I'll be Macho Man. Let's get ready. All right, Drufus from GW. Xbox has a good game. Why even put them in a match? Gears is okay. Halo is okay. I can't think of any others. RIP Elder Scrolls.
I'm lost.
Wolven right underneath it. It's a picture.
Wait. I have to refresh this.
Okay. Sorry. It's under Discord layers. It's Wolven is next. Sorry, guys. We're having too much fun with this tonight is the problem. All right. So those of y'all listening on the podcast, this is pretty entertaining tonight. So do you want me to go ahead and do the Wolven and Drufus thing?
Yeah, it's not loading for me.
All right. So who were you again with was it Ric Flair? Okay.
I was Ric Flair. Woo!
All right. So you can do the woos for me. How about that?
Okay.
I have trust in Microsoft to do the good things with Bethesda. Need a woo, Rowdy. Need a woo.
Woo!
All right. I don't remember that time Microsoft was like, yo, we like that big old ape, that bear. Let's buy the rare and make some of that good old money. And then they royally messed up the company to death.
All right, it loaded for me now.
Yeah.
All right. Woo! Yeah, but Xbox Game Studios has had a significant change in leadership. Woo!
Woo!
They're more in tune with what people want. I mean, they brought back Battletoads and apparently bringing back Perfect Dark. Woo! Bethesda is hopefully gonna have some better QA. Now, two.
A fantastic point, by the way. Bethesda has notoriously bad quality assurance in their games. It'll be interesting to see if it's affected.
So here's the thing. I do want to bring up something. Rare is a great company that Microsoft squandered for a while. I'm salty about this because they could have made some good Banjo-Kazooie games. Mm-hmm. They could have made another Perfect Dark, because Perfect Dark Zero for Xbox 360 was amazing. And they just didn't do anything after. It took them forever to do Battletoads. And did Rare even make the new Battletoads?
I don't think it is. I think it's a different company that's taken over Battletoads.
But then Rare made Sea of Thieves, which Sea of Thieves is amazing. So, I mean, obviously they're not going to put Bethesda on a back burner. But I'm wondering what they're going to do with some of the other studios. Because they bought a bunch of little studios that have some very good pedigrees. I also forgot to point out, Microsoft has spent $10 billion on studios. 7.5 of that was Bethesda, and I want to say 1.5 of it was Minecraft. So that leaves $1 billion they spent on all those other studios.
And they're not done, man. It's gonna get crazy. All right, so we have one from the Texas Discord today, and they wanted a Hulk Hogan voice. So this is Dragon Quest Heroes Rocket Slime. They just took that whole name. Okay, brother. Nintendo, in my personal opinion, since they have the biggest libraries of exclusives, I think almost all of their IPs are exclusive. And if Nintendo doesn't count, then I'd say PlayStation. Spider-Man and God of War are very fun games from what I've seen. I sound like a wrestling judge that's about to do a leg drop on somebody.
So here's another thing that this might be a very I don't know, people might not like what I'm about to say, but when it comes to PlayStation, I know that that newest Spider-Man game is an exclusive. Mm-hmm. But I don't look at Spider-Man as an original IP. Just because there's been so many Marvel games, so many Spider-Man games and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I understand it's exclusive. I understand that you can only buy it on PlayStation. But when I think exclusive, I think from the ground up, story, gameplay, everything brand new. That is, of course, me being a little too picky. I think I said that in some of my Twitter posts when we were talking about some of this.
I think I saved one for you, by the way, that you had way up at the top. So if you go up to the one between you and Petri Dish, a science comedy podcast, I saved that one so you could do, if you want to do that one, and I'll be Petri Dish and you can be you.
Let's see, are you talking about this where I said Nintendo for sure, but I think second place goes to PlayStation. This one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay, Nintendo for sure. This is what I said. Sorry. Nintendo for sure, but I think second place goes to PlayStation. I mean, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, the Uncharted series, and The Last of Us. They both have games that are absolute system sellers. I'm still waiting for Microsoft to reboot the Conquer series.
Ooh, yeah, on Rare. All right, Petri Dish says MS did just buy Bethesda.
And that's awesome, but those games technically aren't originally from Microsoft Studios. I didn't include Spider-Man on. Oh, yep, here it is. I didn't include Spider-Man on PlayStation because of the long Marvel history on different consoles. I really like Halo, Gears, and Sea of Thieves. My views are just a little too picky, I guess. But I do agree that Microsoft is gearing up to have a hell of a first party lineup this generation.
Which they replied, Petri Dish says, yeah, I just meant looking forward. Maybe we're going to see more exclusive stuff.
Oh yeah, totally agree there. That 7.5 billion was for sure worth it. I'm a Sony fanboy, but I'll eventually get a Series X for Game Pass.
All right. Well, that's actually the end of the show, dude.
Oh yeah?
Dude, this has probably been the fastest, craziest show I've ever done. I apologize to you already for what you are about to hear, sir. Because it
Nice.
is I'll put it this way: when bonus points starts, I can see on the audio, whatever those things are called that go up and down waves, that they are way bigger.
Yeah, man, I'll be able to. I'll be able to keep it from clipping. That's no worries.
Oh man, and there have been dogs barking like crazy in this podcast. It's been a wild ride.
Hey, did you talk anything about? Oh, sorry, I burped. Did you talk anything about Amazon Luna?
I did not. I forgot to mention that. Next week, I figure we'll discuss that. Because didn't you get the Luna?
No, I signed up for the beta, which hasn't started yet.
I'm sure it's junk.
And I've been looking into it, and I am very, very skeptical because a lot of the stuff that they say sounds a lot like what Stadia was trying to say. But they swear up and down that. So there's two ways that you can use their controller, or well, I mean, you could use your controller Bluetoothing to whatever you're going to use. But if you get their controller, you could actually link it straight to the cloud instead of Bluetoothing to your device, which apparently would cut down on some latency. We'll have to see about that. There's some other rumors about different channels that they're going to add to it. Apparently Ubisoft is interested in getting in here, and the rumor is that when they introduce the Ubisoft channel, that it's basically going to be a Ubisoft Game Pass in the cloud, where you can play, what is it? Immortals, Phoenix Rising. You'll be able to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla day they come out in the cloud.
So here's the thing where I don't think that's still not feasible, because one, you have the Uplay thing, right? And that was not very good. And it's the same basic concept. You have EA Play, which by itself is not worth it.
Yeah.
I just don't think, unless Amazon get some other big names under its belt, that it's going to be worth it as a service.
Yeah. So I've got some stuff that I will talk about next week that I think would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they'll do it. So you'll have to tune in next week to see what we have to say.
Ooh.
Next time on the Lamer Gamers, on the next episode of the Lamer Gamers podcast.
Yeah, and hopefully we get you here next week.
God, I hope so. Work's been crazy.
I know, man. It's been crazy for me too. I'm surprised. I'm delirious today, so they get crazy. Simply Travis today. All right. I guess that was the end of the show, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. I shouldn't have talked. I should have just stayed quiet. Technically, the show's over. Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well.
Yeah.
Why don't you say a closer?
Okay. Want to listen to the whole episode at once? Go look for Lamer Gamers Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Bullhorn FM, or wherever you cast your pods. You can even see the live recording of the show on twitch.tv/Lamer Gamers Podcast, but probably not YouTube because it's not working with things lately. So, check out the stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed this segment. Let us know, what is your choice if you didn't get to join in bonus points originally for the best exclusives on a console? Have we changed your mind? Have we aggravated you? Did we elbow drop your ideas and make them count out at 3? Let us know on Twitter @LamerGamersCast, and we will I guess you'll hear from us next week on the Lamer Gamers podcast.
Later. All right. I stopped recording.
All right. I need to hit save before my computer explodes.
Right.
All right. Let's hit OK. Oh, I'm putting that in the wrong place. Hey, guys. Thank y'all for hanging out with us tonight. I don't think those numbers are true because we've had more people chatting than the numbers said at times. Let's see. For editing, my side of the river. Yeah, dude. So that intro got wild. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
Did you read? Were you? I don't know if you checked out the Twitch while I was doing this stuff, but you know how MMA matches start?
Oh yeah.
That's how it started.
Nice. Nice.
I didn't put my thoughts in there until you got here. I just kind of did a breakdown of what to expect between each of these. By the way, we still got Twitch running. So if you are still hanging out in the Twitch, say hi, chill, hang out, get something to get a coffee with us. I don't know. Ugh. By the way, how long have you worked today? Or how long have you been
I actually didn't work that long today. Because I work from 3 in the afternoon to 3 in the morning. But
okay.
So it's been really weird since the tropical storm came through. Yeah. Or I guess kind of lack thereof in our area.
Yeah, it was really weird out here.
But
did virtual teaching during it.
Sabine, I probably shouldn't say cities.
Yeah, let me end the show because I don't think anybody's chatting. Thanks for coming to visit. We're gonna hang out after the show. I mean, have a good one, guys. I'm gonna hit the button. It'll say ending soon, and then it'll play a song, and Rowdy and I'll say things like it's really happening, and you know how it goes. The stream's ending. It's playing a song. So as soon as I see that thing go, I hit the end stream button. This is how I feel tonight. I apologize.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
It sounds good whenever I check it.